गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। I've been waiting to do this for a long time. 10 reasons of China's decline. Let me put it at the outset. It's my considered view that China's decline is now irreversible. I've thought a long time about this before I am presenting it. Earlier last year, I did speak of China's slow collapse with General Narayanan. I did speak of, you know, various kinds of decline. But now I think I'm speaking for the first time holistically. There are no facts, no figures, just narration. And I'm not going to show you any graphs, I'm not going to show you any data, I'm not going to show you any facts. I'm not going to show you any references. This is what I feel about China. And it is irreversible. Let me make it very clear. It is irreversible. This decline is irreversible. Let me put the cart before the horse and tell you. When I say it's irreversible, that's fine. But it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to collapse. It's going to be slow, steady, and it's going to give China a lot of pain. When it gives China a lot of pain, it's going to give the world a lot of pain. So that's it. And that's coming ahead of us. Let me put it up front. What are the 10 points which I consider are the crux of China's decline? And I'll take each one of them and spend some time on each one of them. It's declining demography. It's political structure and instability. The security. It's invested in technology without returns. Its lack of resources. Its overgrown military. Its troubled rimlands. Lack of geopolitical trust. The destruction of Chinese culture by the CCP. And last and not the least, property and infrastructure. So we'll take each one of them one by one. I've listed out a few factors for each. You might add a few. There might be some I missed out. But adding to that is just adding, more weight to what I'm going to put across to all of you. Right? So let's get going. Okay. The first factor and the most important factor, the declining demography. We must remember that a nation is made of people. It's the people who make the nation. Without the people, there's no nation. This is my, robots don't make the nation. Economy doesn't make the nation. Military doesn't make the nation. It is the people who make the economy. It is people who make the nation, and it's people who make everything. In China, this is going away. And it is going down, down, and down. About 2 weeks back, I did a program on China's demographic decline and why it happened and all that. But I'm going to stick to the fundamentals of all that story now. The first and most important factor of their declining demography is their one-child policy. They pushed the one-child policy right from 1990 till 2020. Though they declared a two-child policy and they scrapped it and all, but it kept getting pushed. Now, China has been under this one-child policy for over 20 years. In this period, China progressed and then natural element of declining demography due to economic boom has caught up. After that, China has implemented all kinds of policies, two, three, four childs, nothing works and it will not work. If anything, their birth rates are going down. If there are no people in this society, how will it prosper? Where will it get its working hands tomorrow? It's not there. As simple as that. The second, there's an aging population. A combination of aging population and one child policy is something lethal for America, for China. At one end, there are old people accumulating. At the other end, there is no one to replace them. The replacement rates in China have gone below 1. And in major population centers, it is hovers around 0.5. With better medicine, everything, people's ages have extended. So the number of aged people is increasing. You'll be surprised to know by 2030, latest, might happen earlier, China will have 50% of China will be over 50. Already the median age is 39. Just think the median age of China is 39. By 2030, and this is as per official figures, it has to be worse. By 2030, it will be 50. This is going to be an old country. By 2030, more than 30% of the people will be over 60%. Old people have their own requirements. And in a country where there's no social net, in a country where there's no pensions, and we'll talk of this business of social net, all that in the political instability. Let me put it, it's connected. China is a country which is a communist country where common prosperity is supposed to be spoken of. But for the past 2 years, there's no common prosperity. The fundamental of common prosperity is the lowermost rung of society should get something, and they're not getting. And that lowermost rung of society is aging. In fact, everyone is aging. People who are aging without any benefits, where will they go? They're going to be a big burden on China. Then, of course, I've said one child policy, declining birth rates. Horrible. China has come to a stage. Just think of this one child policy, declining birth rate. This is a country which does not have brothers or sisters. It does not have uncles and aunties. Just think of the social impact of this on society. Look at the outlooks of people. A child who is born today probably has to take care of his parents and his grandparents, and two families either side don't have children. So this Chinese fellow is going to be absolutely transactional, in a survival mode. It throws out a lot of societal equations which we take for granted in our society. There's a huge gender imbalance. Female infanticide has been rampant in China for ever so long. So if there's a huge gender imbalance and there are not enough women and there's a bias against women in society, that society won't grow. One child policy, aging people, and what's worse about the aging population is the number of women there are more, because women by nature, which it's natural that they live longer. So all these are all now irreversible. Marriage rates are declining. Every year, the number of marriages which are taking place in China are decreasing. Why? It is too costly to get married. It is too costly to sustain a marriage. It is too costly to have a child. Rearing a child in China is the costliest in the world. And this is the society they've got into. Now, if all this is happening, if the number of people are reducing, consumption declines. And as you get older, you don't need a fridge, you don't need a car, you need something, you need a walk, you need basic food, you need medicines, you need healthcare. And that is not there. That is something which China has not invested in. China has invested in rare earths, they invested in costly earths, they've invested in economy, robots, AI, and all that. But will that replace consumption, which is endemic to human beings? No. Now, if that is not there, how can an economy grow? How can China grow? If people are not there, how can China's military grow? If there are only single individuals in a family, why will they join the armed forces? Remember, if there's only one child in the family, 50% chances are that it is a girl, 50% chances are that it's a boy. So virtually 50% of the people who join who are born by nature can't join the army. They say they'll take women into service and all, but that's very minimal. How does the army grow? How does the army fight? And if I am a single child army, a single child of my parents, why would I join the army? Even if I join the army, why should I fight? If I don't have family values, where is this thing called motherland, fatherland, and love for the nation? If my father and mother have to work 9 to 9 in the night, and I'm left all alone on my own, who teaches me values and culture? So there's no culture, there's no values, the value system is not there. All this is a heady cocktail which many of us don't understand. And then subsidies are declining. In China today, the subsidy which is being given to the poor is only reducing. Right? It's only reducing. If you cannot subsidize your population and you're only subsidizing the rich, then this population won't grow. China is known for subsidies, but the subsidies is for businesses, not for people. So this is the first problem and probably the most important issue why China will continue to decline. And on that, there's no doubt. Okay, let's look at the second problem which they have, their political structure and instability. Today morning, I explained to all of you who watch my podcast about the growth of China's Communist Party from 1921 onwards till now. They've been in power from 1949. They want to celebrate their 100th anniversary. But the growth of this party and this party structure has been unstable at best. Outwardly, the party has given stability to the country, but inwardly they've bred a lot of instability. And if you see the history of China, every time there's a transfer of power, it has been torturous. It's not been easy. How will it be different now? And we are seeing it playing out. We are seeing it playing out today. Xi Jinping has monopolized power. He has monopolized power on national security, foreign affairs, financial and economic affairs, as well as the Central Military Commission. Everything is with him. While he is under threat politically, there is also a counter movement within China, his own faction, who's pushing back. So, how will this devolution of powers or transfer of power take place? It's not going to be easy. If it is not going to be easy, it is going to be at the cost of China. Because in China, if you leave the demography out, it's the politics which matter. Everything in China is political. That is why the political structure and stability is my second point. When the Chinese came to power, when Mao came to power, and he said power to the proletariat, or that's a Soviet euphemism, but that was what it was. Rule by the people and all that. He made a social contract. He made a social contract with the people. Give me your freedom, I'll give you prosperity. He never gave them prosperity, nor did he let them be free till he died. And then China went into instability. Deng Xiaoping came and realized if he doesn't give prosperity to people, the Communist Party will die. So he restarted this social contract with the people. He brought it to the fore. And he said, it doesn't matter the color of the cat as far as it catches mice. He made wealth creation the national goal. And he gave prosperity to people. But in the past 10 years, as the economy has hit headwinds, natural headwinds, and unnatural headwinds, due to the political structure and decrease in population and many other things, this social contract is frayed. In the 20-party Congress in October 22, Xi Jinping changed the social contract. He converted this from prosperity to security. So his contract today is, look, I'll give you security, you give me your freedom. But people will not give it. Because the fundamental requirement of any human being is prosperity. He needs food to eat. He needs decent living. He needs medical. He needs education for his children. Those are out of the common reach. It's not simple for people. Aging population. An aging population does not need security. No one is going to come and kill an old man. An aging population needs prosperity. It is not even prosperity. It is sustenance. And that sustenance, the Communist Party today is not able to give. Okay. Then, like I said today morning, I analyzed, there's a huge problem of transfer of power. Every transfer of power has come with a problem. The transfer of power which will happen now when Xi Jinping goes and all his monopolies are taken off, because Xi Jinping centralized everything. And he also didn't let a leader grow. So in an environment where there's no leader who cannot exercise all these powers which Xi Jinping had with him, they have to be devolved. And that transfer of power will not be easy. They will be fighting, competing lobbies. As it is, China was known for its factions. It will only increase. And that's what my next point is, lack of a clear succession. Who is that person succeeding China? Today they say a chap called Wang Yang, who was sidelined. He's reluctant to come. There's no one in the horizon. The guys who are in power are well entrenched. They will not give up. The plan which so far says is they have to be sidelined. But they have their own power bases which they have built up over the past 10 years along with Xi Jinping, and Xi Jinping is not dead. And Xi Jinping today has gone to Kazakhstan to meet all Central Asian republics and in the Central Asian Republic Forum. So he's traveling. He might not be well, but he still holds the reins. So this transfer of power is not going to happen in a hurry, irrespective of what rumors come, what analysis happens and all. But the fact is that it will happen. It will happen in the next 1-2 years. So if it doesn't happen, the first problem will come in: monopolization, over-monopolization. Xi Jinping, to retain power, will continue to over-monopolize. So whether he over-monopolizes or he devolves power to the people, where there's no clear succession and there's a political vacuum coming up, there's a problem. And Xi Jinping himself has not given up. He has consolidated power, but was that power structure stable? No. And we'll talk why it's not been stable. The system which he has engendered is that where money is taken from the people and given to the top layers. So you're in a rich state with the poor people, and this will be repeated later. Whereas the communist society wanted well-off people and well-off state, a balance. That balance is lost. That balance has been lost for a long time. Actually, the balance was lost when Hu Jintao took over, because he let loose the reins of capitalism. It was only communism in some form, but the private people came up, everything. But that endangered the communist rule. And that is why Xi Jinping monopolized power and brought it back to state control. It is not without reason. If Xi Jinping had not done this, China would have collapsed 5 years back. It would have collapsed along with COVID. It didn't, because Xi Jinping didn't allow it to collapse. But now they have come to a stage where it is beyond Xi Jinping. He's also in his terminal phases. And if he stays alive and he continues beyond 2027 for life, the way he has this thing, he will only ruin it even more. And this political structure and instability will keep playing more. It will not become less. China is today a security state. There's no political opposition. At one level, there's absolutely no political opposition, because it's a one-party state. But at another level, this party itself has engendered a lot of political opposition within. This links with the earlier story of political instability. There's widespread unrest, which doesn't get reported. We've seen widespread unrest at the end of COVID, where people came out on the streets, showed white papers. From time to time, people come out and protest. Old people have come and protested on the streets to say that we want better pensions when their medical pensions were reduced. We've seen outpourings of unrest when people put out banners, and the reaction of the state to just one banner is so violent. We've seen people, moving down people, and I still remember 5-6 months back, there was a movement where students moved from one place to the other just to buy dumplings. They cycled 50 kilometers or 60 kilometers and came back. It became a movement. A whole lot of young students were moving from one place to the other. Initially, the Chinese government said, "Oh, very good. This shows bonding, this, that, and all that." But then they got scared that if so many more students are on the road throughout the night, and millions of students were on the road, and not only students, the people were joining the students. There were organizations en route, not governmental organizations. Spontaneous organizations came up to give them water, to give them food in that 60, 70-kilometer journey. It was maybe probably more, I don't remember. I did a podcast on that at that time. They said, no, it can't happen because this is some kind of a self-sustaining organization which is happening. So it was closed. And then I said, look, rich state, poor people. The entire story of subsidies is this. How does China give subsidies to people? It gives bonds out. If you are a foreigner and you buy Chinese bonds, you'll never get money back. And that's part of the deal. You're stuck in that. But if you are a citizen of China and you buy those bonds, you'll never get the money back. There were bank protests last year before last. Why? People were not allowed to take money out of the bank. When people turned up in numbers to take money out of the bank and this bank thing spread, the Chinese government said, no, your money is safe, you take another bond and go. They keep selling bonds to their own people. People feel that they have money in the bank which they're never going to get. And China keeps taking money from its people and giving subsidies to all its ventures. And many of those ventures have failed, like the property has failed. Its EV sector is on the verge of failure. And many people just siphon this money and take it off. And the people at the bottom, with their bonds, all they can do is take loans. They can take loans for consumption, which they're being given today. And they took loans for their houses, everything. And they have to keep repaying these loans by their hard work. It's a never-ending cycle. And with every passing day, the people in this country are becoming poorer and the state is becoming richer. Right? And then there's this relationship between economic reform, development, and social stability. Very recently, there's this white paper which came out on security. And that encompasses this. It's explained very well in this. Economic development and reform is no more for well-being of people. It is no more for social stability. It is to provide security to the state. So there's a disconnect. It's become a security state. And the security state has gendered a poor peripheral environment. 12 years back, 15 years back, countries like Vietnam, Malaysia, Philippines, Taiwan, Japan, Korea had very good relations with China. In fact, Taiwan had great investment into China. And Chinese mainland businesses were investing into Taiwan. Today it's all gone. There would be some, but not much. Why? The security environment in its periphery has changed. Before 2020, the Indian armed forces were saying, okay, we'll take care of the border. But today, we are focused there. So their periphery is become poor. And they have to guard huge borders like Tibet, Xinjiang, where those people don't have full allegiance to the Chinese Han nation. And that is more than 50% of their landmass. And people there are only 10%. And they have to guard this. That's a dilemma which China will keel over. Why? Because China has to keep putting money into this landmass to guard it. And we'll talk of it later. That is why it's an overstretched military. The peripheral security environment is not good. And since Xi Jinping has linked security to trade, development, everything, all that has gone down or going down. Technology. Their high-tech technology is tacky at best. You will hear that everything about Chinese technology is top class. They have made tremendous, gains in technology. They've gone to space. They built a high-tech military, AI, X, Y, Z. But it's tacky. None of it is proven, whether in battle or in real life. No one wants it. People who want it are not happy with it. And is it generating returns? There are places where it's generating returns, but because there's a firewall, it's only a internal return. They're not making money like Google, Microsoft, Amazon outside. They were making money out of TikTok. Now USA wants the TikTok with them. Let's see where it goes. But for the amount of investment which they're doing in for high tech, and the amount of investment and thrust which Xi Jinping has on high tech, a lot of investment going into high tech. Is there return of income on that? If there's no return of income on anything you do, your technology might be the best, it's of no use. So every time, China talks of high tech, remember that it is contributing to the Chinese decline. Just 3 days back, I saw that China's high tech achievements in AI and robotics and all have started contributing negatively to its GDP. And I'll show it in the next 2 days. All what I've been saying so far, they themselves are now saying. And then China is a country which does not have resources. It simply does not have resources. It does not have water. It does not have enough water. That's why it wants water from Brahmaputra. And you need water for people. You need water for the cities. You need water for agriculture. You need water for hydroelectricity. They are short. And if you don't have electricity and energy, your business can't grow, your economy can't grow, your industry can't grow or be sustained. And you want to go into high tech, you need more energy, which they don't have. They're reaching a ceiling. In fact, they've already reached a ceiling as far as their energy capability is concerned within China. That is why they want this dam in Brahmaputra, which will not be ready for the next 25 years. Take it from me. I'll die and go. That dam won't get erected. They don't have minerals. They have some coal, they have everything. You might think that they have everything, but they don't. They have to import raw materials. They have to continuously import raw materials. They don't have oil. They have to either depend on Russia or Middle East. If tomorrow in the Iran-Israel war, if the Middle East is closed or the Gulf of Hormuz is closed and the Red Sea channels are closed, China will be devoid of oil. It's a different thing. They've stocked oil for 1 year. In this business of stocking, they've stocked water. They've stocked oil, they've stocked grains, they've stocked everything. It's all dead money. That money is dead, lying there. It might come to use, but they have a problem of arable land versus expanding desertification. Today I saw a you know article in China where they have grown 40 hectares of uh, wheat in desert land, and they feel it's a breakthrough. They're trying it. They might. It's a good thing which they've done. There's no doubt. And for them, it's manna from heaven because now they can increase their arable land. They don't have. And one thing which China is worried about historically is famine and lack of food. And that is why every 5, 6 months or even 3 months, Xi Jinping has been going about in the past 10 years putting trust on food security. And here the declining population is going to hit them. China is over urbanized. There are no people in rural areas to carry out agriculture. And there are no youth in the rural areas to carry out agriculture. The old people can't. 2 years back, they reclaimed mountains and did something funny. And one rain and everything got washed off. Part of this is climate. Climate change is hitting China in ways beyond the normal because their growth has been beyond normal. If you have abnormal growth, any change in the environment will hit you abnormally. And that is going to bite them. And that is irreversible. I give this example to everyone. If you're living by the beach and you have a shack made of palm fronds, when huge tidal waves come, that shack will get washed off. And end of story. Right? Tomorrow you come back, go to the nearest palm tree which is still surviving or which has fallen, take the palm fronds and make a shack again. You're up and about. There's no loss of economy, it's only loss of effort. But if you build a multi-story building and a tsunami comes or tidal waves come and that building collapses, the amount you have to spend is more. Isn't it? It's basic common sense. That is what is hitting China. As years have gone by, irrespective of what happens in the climate, irrespective of natural disasters, the cost they are paying for these natural disasters has gone up. And China historically has been a disaster prone area. The entire Yellow River, Huanghe, or however you call it, is called the sorrow of China. People don't understand. You read their history, it's called the sorrow of China because it always was flooded. And the thing with that floods is that as you keep putting embankments, the river bed rises and the embankments gets washed away. They made this Three Gorges Dam, but that's on Yangtze River, Yangtze. They made this Three Gorges River to control floods. And to their horror, in the past 5 years, they've seen that that it doesn't control floods. It contributes to floods. Because when there floods, the dams behind the Three Gorges Dam, there are about 11, 12 dams, big dams. When those dams get filled, they release water. They put pressure on Three Gorges. So Three Gorges releases water, and people downstream are washed away. So they've had this problem. I've covered climate change along with this business of desertification. The deserts are expanding in the north, which they're not able to control. Then they're overgrown military. Look, in all places, there's a fundamental tasking flaw in PLA. In all militaries, the first task of the military is to guard the nation. Here, the first task of the military is to guard the Communist Party, not the nation. And this is a thing which is, even now playing out. If you see, The PLA is now embroiled in who will run the nation and who will guard the nation. Look, you gotta understand, we fought Kargil war when the government was not there. Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government was on lease. It was only after that we had elections. And then, of course, he came. That's a different story. Why? The armed forces were very clear. We guard the constitution and we guard the nation. Irrespective of the government, we'll do our job. And our system is that irrespective of the party, there's always a prime minister. He might be acting, but he's a prime minister. And our system will ensure that everything goes. But today, that's not there in China. And this problem will continue for 4-5 years. And for the next 4-5 years, the armed forces of China will guard their periphery less, their whatever thing is less, and be more involved in guarding the party. And within the PLA itself, we've seen power plays coming up in the recent past, the past 5-10 years. I have never seen so many generals in army being just taken out. 20 or 60, 70 generals. Just think that what kind of corruption is there, what kind of intrigue goes on there, what kind of incompetency goes on there, what kind of nepotism goes on there. And China is over-invested in its army. It's over-invested in technology, it's over-invested in money. And it doesn't have the capacity to man it. It might have the biggest navy, but does it have the right soldiers to man it? Does it have captains? It doesn't have captains to man their ships. It doesn't have generals to control their army. It's one thing to put a lot of money and make so many missiles and this and that and all that. You need people to handle all that. There's too much money going into the army, which is dead. And given China's history, just think, a weapon system gets inducted, which probably in 1979-80, around the last time when they fought the Vietnam War. That's the last time. A gun which was entered into service in 80, just after the Vietnam War. Today it is 2025, 45 years. That gun has not fired in anger. It's going to get retired. And you're getting more high-tech equipment every day. High-tech equipment are costly. First and foremost, that gun which you had in 1980 was a cheap gun, old gun, rudimentary gun. It costed $100. Today you are putting a high-tech weapon system in its place, which costs not $100, it costs $10,000, maybe 100 times, 1,000 times more. That's investment. And if that doesn't work, like it has some of their, equipment has not worked in Pakistan, it's a waste. So all the money which you earned has gone down the drain. They're so invested, 7 to 10%, and every year they've invested more into the PLA. And it's dead money if they don't fight a war. And they've not fought a war, and I don't see how they will fight a war. Because wars in China are all political. They have avoided wars. In fact, I'm on record with Mr. Sandeep Punithan, who was in India today. I've interacted with him during Op Galwan, during the Galwan crisis. He asked me, sir, tomorrow PLA is going to invade India. And I told him, look, don't worry. This is belligerent war avoidance. He said, "What is this belligerent war avoidance? There's no term like this." And I explained to him, China will be very belligerent with everything they have, but they'll avoid war. And they avoided war for many reasons. Their equipment never got tested. Waste never got tested. That's the next point. Their equipment has never been tested. So that equipment is faulty and you spend a whole lot of money on it, which is useless. What does it do? It kills your system. It kills your economy. All the profits you made, which you didn't spend on your people, but you spent on the military, is a waste. You didn't spend on butter. You didn't spend on people. And it has been underachieving. We know that. It has not been able to even push back Philippines. It's not been able to cross Taiwan Strait. Take the current situation. It has got a base at Djibouti. It has got a base at Gwadar. In the in the Israel-Iran confrontation which is going on, USA is around, up and around. It says, I'm here with everything. I'm going to watch. But where is China? So if this is your power projection capability, are you declining or you're going up? And then they're overstretched. Today, China is committed on all its fronts. And they've expanded. The BRI has expanded. The PLA has to be deployed there. If the PLA is not deployed there, it is a private military contractors in another form. It is PLA in a civilian form. That's part of their military. Part of their grey zone operations. All funded from where? Either the internal security or external security funding. And they're still not able to cope. They might have a whole lot of militia coast guard boats, but they're all funded by the state. If they don't achieve and they're overstretched, very clearly China is declining. Property and infrastructure. Do I need to say? They've built high-speed rails. I mean, just think a high-speed rail station which is built in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't. To reach a high-speed railway station in China, I am told, if you leave Beijing and Shanghai and all these places out, you have to travel 15 to 20 kilometers. It doesn't make sense. And at the other end, to go to your destination, you have to travel another 15 to 20 kilometers. Why was this made that way? It was made, the logic is that when a high-speed train comes, wherever it comes, the land around it will become costly, property is built up out there, and an alternate, development takes place, and everyone then gets. People didn't understand or didn't have the foresight to think if development takes place somewhere else, developed areas will become underdeveloped. And people who were in these already developed areas couldn't move to new developed areas because they didn't have money. Rich state, poor people. They were not prepared to undertake more mortgages because the economy started sinking ever since the COVID took place. So they have highways which connect nothing. They spend so much on highways, there's so much on public infrastructure, roads, bridges, You might have a top-class bridge. But if it doesn't give you economic value, it's a waste. Because you spent more in this infrastructure, and infrastructure is costly. If it is not used, it's not giving you the amount you have to spend more to just maintain that infrastructure will kill you. So we're going to see two things. One, either this infrastructure starts collapsing, or if this infrastructure gets maintained, you will see the economy collapsing. And the number of users of this are going down. Remember that. So this dynamic will continue to play, this business of ghost cities. Then China does not need to build another flat for till maybe in the next 10 years. But even after that, it doesn't need, because your population is shrinking. The population which is there doesn't need the flats which are built already. There are 90 million more flats than what is required. And your population is shrinking. So this complete ghost cities in which they've spent, they're gone. If China becomes poor tomorrow, it is because of the fact that these ghost cities will not give any return, infrastructure will not give any return, and the military will not give any return. When they made money, they made money. All this is now locked out. The state has got some money. The people don't have money, and the infrastructure which is there in this country is not giving them economic returns. It is not like India, where today you build a road, within a matter of 5 years, you need to build another road there. It's happening everywhere. Why? We are slow in infrastructure. Everyone says, oh, we are very slow. We are slow, but we keep pace with our requirements. It's always good to be playing under par than over par. Anyone who plays bridge will know what under par is. Under par gives you a win always. It's good if you don't have enough infrastructure in your growth story, because it pushes growth. And then you have troubled rimlands. Look at Tibet, Taiwan, Turkmenistan, India, 9-line, East Asia, USA. They are all Russia, Japan, Koreas. These are 3 sets of troubled rimlands. This area of Tibet, East Turkmenistan, and the bordering India, like I said earlier, only less than 10% of their people live, and that's more than 50% of their area. They have to keep investing into this area without getting any returns to just maintain them, just to hold on to them. And this will not change. And these are in areas which are hostile. Hostile in environment, hostile by people. Today, Tibetans might not say anything, but fundamentally they are hostile. It takes one incident for something to happen in Tibet. After all, the last incident in Tibet or around about Tibetans happened in 2008. That's 15, 16 years back. It's not centuries back. And things will happen when the Dalai Lama has to change. That's warning lights ahead. Look at Taiwan. They have to invest more. Okay, they go into Taiwan. To control 22 million people, that's the population of Taiwan, they'll have to pump money in. Or for that matter, the amount of money they have to put in Turkmenistan, which they call Xinjiang. What if radicalism enters Turkmenistan? They're finished. And increasingly, I see that they're not able to balance their situation. 5 years back, in 2020, they came very aggressively across the Tibet border. And everyone felt, look, India will be run over, PLA is so strong and all that. 5 years later, what do you see? India is emerging stronger and PLA is on the back foot. Today they have already started thinking of defending. That they will only go into an offensive is gone out of their head. Believe you me. I have seen their papers which talk of defense. They have 3 defense lines. Their thinking has changed. And if there's a war between India and China, all you have to do is go a little deep into Tibet. And then Tibet will not be under their control. And if Tibet is not under their control, it will spread to Xinjiang. And if both these are not under control, China will collapse. I am not talking of decline anymore, collapse. That is the danger in which they are, and they know it. We in India don't understand this. If you see the PLA and everything, along with everything else which is happening on these factors which I've said, you will realize that China is in trouble. The 9-dash line, they've laid that line out. It's very difficult to defend it because they are overstretched. To defend it, they have to be always stretched out, like they're now with Philippines. Vietnam has started building islands. Vietnam in one island, right, in Spratlys, not in Paracel, in Spratlys, the one which is nearer in the Gulf of Tonkin, they've already built a runway. So China has to contend. There's so many countries with contesting claims. It always has to be at war. It's easy to say I'm aggressive. I put a 9-dash line and I want to take all over that area. But you have to go there and spend and fight to retain it, which you're not able to. Because every time you keep spending money on that, something productive is going off. And then there's a situation coming around Russia, Japan, and Koreas. Once upon a time, that flank, the easternmost flank of China, was the most secure flank. No more. What Trump has done, he is pushing Japan and South Korea to be self-sustainable in terms of security and defense. If that happens, China has a problem. North Korea, 5 years back, 10 years back, was completely dependent on China. No more. Today, they are more aligned with Russia. They are showing 2 thumbs to Korea. Oh, sorry, China. And of late, though 3 years back, Putin and Xi Jinping went into the no limits friendship and partnership and all that. That's fraying in the edges. And China traditionally has been vulnerable from the northern plains. And if they have to start deploying people in the north, add one more angle to its decline. And this will all happen. And then there's a lack of geopolitical trust. And this lack of geopolitical trust is because of this BRI and debt trap. Because they've expanded the BRI, because there's a debt trap on, people don't trust them. So they might be in relationship with them, but they're not trusted. And when you want to be a big nation, you have to be trusted. And in most places, you can roll over the loans, you can say, I have influenced this, that, and all that. But you lost money there. And that's not going to come back. And to maintain those people, China is actually spending more today. And then they went into this wolf warriorism, which generated lack of geopolitical trust. And once in a while, they reinforce it. One odd guy comes out and says, becomes a wolf warrior. So today, whenever China speaks aggressively, it is branded as wolf warriorism. And there's aggressive behavior. They behave aggressively everywhere. As a result, none of their neighbors trust them. None of the people far away also trust them. Who trusts them? You will see after this Iran war where things will go. They had just 2 years back, in I think 21, they had a strategic partnership where China was to put some 500-600 million dollars into Iran, and Iran was to give crude oil, and this was a great strategic partnership and all. The Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, BRICS as they were called, were supposed to threaten the global order. Where is that today? Zero. Things have changed. If there's no lack of, if there's lack of geopolitical trust, China will not go up. And then there's a systematic destruction of the Chinese culture by the CCP. Mao destroyed the culture without thinking. In fact, he did it deliberately. He destroyed the traditional Chinese culture deliberately, and he destroyed it during that period of, the Great Famine, Great Leap Forward. Okay, he finished it off, where teachers were executed, where professors from universities were taken to work on the fields. Cultural revolution. What is that cultural revolution all about? All ancient methods were taken out and the communist form of life came. So when people say communist, the Chinese culture is no more there. It's not there. It's gone. And further, this one-child policy has changed what is this Chinese culture? The Chinese culture earlier, if you saw large families, community living, people taking care of each other and all that. Today, no one takes care of each other. There's no culture. No one is interested in culture. They're more interested in getting ahead in life and progressing. Because if they don't, they'll die. There's no social net. And this is something which I learned, in Nagaland. You go to Nagaland, you'll never find a beggar. And they're not rich, they're very poor people. Most of them. Villages in the rural areas, they're very poor. Even the cities are not that well developed by our standards. And yet you don't find a beggar, yet you don't find an old age chap. Why? Because the society takes care of them. The Naga culture takes care of them. I mean, this is true for any tribal culture anywhere in the world. That is broken completely by the Chinese. And they're searching for a new religion today. They said today the talk is Buddhism is Chinese. It's not Indian. It's not Nepalese. It is Chinese. It's a Chinese religion. So they're searching for a religion. Why? Because their own culture they have killed and they can't revive it. And what is a set of people without a culture? It's a declining society. That's all I had to say. I don't know whether you liked it or not, whether I'm convincing or not. But these 10 points are the harbingers of decline. I would request all of you who have seen this, if you are convinced by what I'm saying, if you're convinced, press the like button. Tell your friends to see it. Because I'm trying to tell you a story. And this is playing out. And this is playing out at speed. That's why I've always said 2030 is the cutoff. In 5 years, you'll see changes happening. Just think back, what was China 5 years back and what is China today and what will China be 5 years hence. If you project this decline into the future, I say, look, in the next 5 years, as China declines, India will start rising. It's not a matter of war. It's a matter of a rise of a nation and the decline of a nation. And the decline of this Chinese nation has nothing to do with its culture, communism, everything. Because the nation and the people are declining. And that decline has been facilitated and propagated by the Chinese Communist Party, which itself is a problem today. That's the story. Right? And I would request you to pass it on to all your friends. Well, I'm prepared to take questions now or any day later also. Okay. Thanks a lot, Manoj Barik, for becoming a member. Thanks a lot to Ashish also for becoming a YouTube member. Thanks a lot, Shambhu Singh ji. Honored that a person like you has contributed. So grateful to you. Right. Yeah, China observer now, Shanghai, Beijing, and many airports empty like ghost towns. Yeah, you're just saying what I'm saying. Right. I support you from Rajasthan, India. Thank you. Yeah, Trump to China. Trump is to China as Reagan was to USSR. Yes, irrespective of the fact what Trump is doing to America, he will he's doing to China. I completely agree with you. This is something which one has to think. Uh, Sir, thoroughly enjoyed the podcast. It's an education all over again. Thank you. Uh, you have a lot of convincing arguments. Thank you, sir. According to Victor Shi, a sinologist, people in government jobs in certain provinces don't get their salaries for 3 to 4 months a year. Surprising such a wealthy nation is unable to pay government employees. The factor. The factor is rich nation, poor people. That's it. It Can you make a podcast on Africa and South America? Right now, it's fulfilling the industrial raw materials requirement of major industries. Sure, I will. Right? Chinese leaders don't understand good intentions, good work will be slow, but behind allies, even sensible neutrals trust and support you when you are in a bad. Yes, I agree with you. That's India. I had very good friends from Nagaland, sir, and I can relate. It's not only in Nagaland. You go to Manipur, hill tribes, yes. Not in the valley. Valley you will not find this. Hill tribes, yes. You go to Mizoram, the tribals look after. You go to South Assam, you go to you go to Tripura, the tribals look after each other. And mind you, let me explain. This was brought home to me by a small girl, a 9 year. She was in 9th standard, and I must explain this to you. That's why I have full faith in India. You know, this was in the year 2008. I sent about 50 children from the Northeast to India. I'm saying India to see the rest of India. Go see Delhi, go see Bombay, see how progress has taken place and all that. At that time, I knew someone in Rashtrapati Bhavan, so I arranged an interaction with these 50 children with the Rashtrapati, Dr. Abdul Kalam. Okay. So these kids, girls, 8, 9, 10 standard girls and boys, came from a place called Haflong, came to Guwahati, caught a train, came to Delhi, and went and met the president and all that. So this girl, this ninth standard girl, Rebecca is her name, the Christian girl. I still remember that. She asked Abdul Kalam. She said, "Look, why is it there are so many beggars in this area?" So Dr. Abdul Kalam gave a roundabout answer. I mean, he didn't give a roundabout. He said, "No, society, it has reduced this, that, India, all that." He didn't understand what this girl was asking him. Anyway, this girl asked. He gave an answer. She kept quiet. And you see, the northeastern faces. They'll not show no that they'll say yesterday girl came back. When she came back, so I welcomed them back, gave them a good tea and spoke to them, interacted with them. And this girl came back and asked me. He said, "Sir, I asked the president, sir, about this. Why are there so many beggars all over the other place?" He didn't give me an answer. At that flash, I realized this girl is asking because she doesn't see beggars where she lives. It was for me discovery of India. All the people around me who didn't have money, not a single chap was begging. And then I had to explain to her in her way, look, don't give up this great trait which you have. And that is the strength of India. We don't need more. We can do with less if we can retain our culture. Right? So that's the thing. It's not only in Nagaland, it's everywhere else. Yeah. I called Toronto police and no one picked my calls because my fathers are Abrahamic. I agree with you. It was F-16, not F-35. America, yeah, don't worry. We're not talking of that. India should contextualize a strategic line in Tibet up to what in future India will have to take up. I agree with you. It was recently in news that India's population had decreased to 1.46. No, at this point of time, it's gone to 1.9. We need to be at 2.1. And I think the government will start taking action. I see this coming out of chief ministers. I see this coming out of central ministers. A corrective action will happen, right? I'm very confident of that. But even if you are at 1.9, you're not badly off. You're not at 1, half. That's bad. Oil discovery, we'll talk of it as we get this thing. At this point of time, it's too premature. Yeah, don't try to be China. To avoid overcapacity, know what is required to bring your population into a vibrant consumption and aspirational mode. Completely agree with you. Secure to ensure freedom, not vice versa. Completely agree with you. Yeah. Please click the like button, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and become members. Share videos with your friends and families. Thank you, Yogesh. You keep giving this. I'm so indebted to you. Yeah, your analysis is in depth, interconnected, and sprinkled with hard-hitting facts which cannot be denied with good terrain knowledge and real experience. This is reality. We have to deal with China in their reality, right? Okay, with a count of 9, I have made and called a grand slam. Thank you. What are the serious lessons for India from China's experience? Don't be China, be India. Don't lose your culture, don't lose your roots, don't lose what you are. Hinduism in India is good, Islam in India is good, Christianity in India is good, Sikhism in India is good, all Jainism in India is good. Our diversity is fantastic. We'll go all together heave. Okay, Manosfan, you're talking of Chinese cargo planes and all that. We'll talk tomorrow. China is developing. We'll talk of that, Amitesh, tomorrow. How long can they avoid war? They'll keep avoiding war because they can't fight. This chap Joy Bangla is a ignorant fool. So, but he keeps coming and he gives us a lot of entertainment. You're the joker from Bangladesh. Thank you. You give us a lot of joy, Banglaji, because you're the ultimate joker. Does China have paramilitary forces? Yeah, as much as it has PLA, that much it has paramilitary forces. As much as the PLA budget, the paramilitary budget is the same. Okay, Iran can't stop Israel, Russia can't finish Ukraine. Yeah, we'll talk of it tomorrow. We'll get to this tomorrow. If Chinese decline is irreversible, then why aren't we seeing it in our bilateral trade deficit with them? Our trade figures with them is forecasted to grow even more. Your thoughts? I disagree with it. It will change, but it's going to change over the next 5 years. Don't be in a hurry. Yeah, you should not forget it's still the second most populated. It has an advanced manufacturing setup. It is still good on technology. It will decline slowly. It's not going to happen overnight. Don't think it will happen day after tomorrow. Oh, I didn't burn fingers. I was fiddling around with my, printer. I had to fill ink into my printer, so ink fell in it. Yeah. Hindu family structures and tatters due to economic domestic violence laws. Many men are getting embroiled in false cases. Look, there are certain things which we are paying the price of progress, but it's not much. Don't worry. Fundamentally, we are okay. We are no problem. Many of our youth are losing faith in institution of Hindu marriage, and worse, the female population is getting indoctrinated in Western. I agree with you. That's a societal problem. I feel our society is strong enough to handle it. Our society is democratic by nature. We'll handle it. But it's a problem. We must not push it under the carpet. The good thing for India is that all the growth is from internal consumption, infrastructure, and industrialization. I agree with you completely. Right. 100 plus conflicts, no world war, nukes are a bluff, info. Yeah, these are all there, but you can't, wish away all these. Regarding demographics, we have to self-introspect. Our society has a self-imposed single-child policy, especially in southern and western. I agree with you. This is something which we have to solve it societally, and people are aware of it. That's a good thing. Chinese people lie low and work on their progress, unlike us who do more chest thumping and then work towards progress. I'm sorry. That's nature, right? But unfortunately, the Chinese people are their worst enemy because they lie low, they don't talk. They have allowed a set of crooks to take over their society and kill them, exploit them. Yeah, IREL started exploiting rare earths in Vishakhapatnam and Bhopal. Yeah, I will talk of this separately, Srinivas. I'll do an episode on that. I've done an episode, but I'll do it again. Why are our institutions blind to India's narrative war failures post Op Sindoor? No recognition, no reform, just silence. When will we wake up? I think they will. Just give it time. There's no hurry. We can do it. We'll wait for the next war. Let's see what happens. Yeah, Chinese debt, overproduction capacity. Yes, I agree with you. Will China get out of the middle income trap before it gets old? I don't think so. There's no question of getting out of the middle income trap. It's only going down. What will be the feather that will break the proverbial camel's back of China? Food insecurity, debt meltdown, or any other thing. Population. Population. And population is a bomb which is exploding under them. They know it. They're not able to do anything about it. You'll see it happening. Yeah, I think I've completed every one. After listening to this discussion, we should start pushing the Free Tibet movement strong, both by public and politically. Completely agree with you. This is what I've been talking. Yeah, JBJP coming back after a long time. Can China play any role of substance in Israel-Iran war? Sorry, tomorrow morning we'll discuss this. Nothing. Zero. Jijar Singh says, eye opener. Yeah, this general never answers me. I don't answer idiots, you idiot. Historically, China has had famines because of zamindari. Yet food security was not addressed. That's the problem. As simple as that. CCP talks of peaceful rise of China, but will China's decline be peaceful? It will not be peaceful. It will not be peaceful. Already there are indications of strife, and this will go on. This will come up. You watch it. Look, whatever I predicted about China is come true in the past 5 years. So it will come true in the next 5 years. It's a matter of time. You have to wait for it. It will not happen tomorrow, but it will slowly keep unrolling. And that is why, as I keep telling you, all my stories about China have gone even worse every day with everything. Islam in India is good, is highly. Yeah, it is. You can. It's your choice. Look, I'm an army officer. I've lived with all major religions of our country. I fought with them. I'm loyal to them. My constitution talks of secularism. I sworn by it. I'll defend it. Okay. I understand many of you people don't agree with it. But if you don't reform what is there with you, it's a liability to you. So would you like these 12 million or 22 million or whatever the number of million, 220 million Muslims in this country to be your asset or your liability? So if you want them to be your asset, you should make them your asset. How you make them your asset is your choice. Have we made them our asset? Not fully. Have we made mistakes in the past to make them an asset? Yes. Who has it? It's the politicians. Okay. So you have to view it in different things. Okay. Right. Thanks a lot, Siva Prakasam Chinnadu. So for coming, Chinnandu, for your views. Ram Ram to all of you. So nice. Very well said, sir. Absolutely agree. We are a secular nation and that's our pride. The day we can, keep our religion at home and work as Indians, we'll be there. Yeah, this is an important question. What can our states of North India and South India learn from the tribal culture of Northeast? You mentioned their positive. You just have to learn their qualities, their culture. They don't have progress. They don't earn much. If you go into many houses in Nagaland, you'll see how do they live. I haven't said Nagaland, many places in the Northeast. You will say, how do they live? They don't have cots. They don't have much. They have very little, but yet they live with each other and live well. In fact, to a large extent, by giving development and progress to them, we are probably spoiling them. Development and progress is not building bridges and malls and Western culture and trains and cars and all that. No. People ask me, why do you drive a small car when you have a big car? I say I save fuel. I say save parking space. It's easy for me to drive. All that. But you don't look like a general if you drive a small car. It doesn't matter. I feel like a general if I drive a small car. You have to be that way. You don't have to show off what you have and not have. Right. Okay. So it's a way of living. Make life simple. And that's what our Hindu scriptures tell us. Our Hindu scriptures, for that matter, the Granth Sahib, or for that matter, any scripture you take, talks to you and say, don't show off. I don't think Islam also tells you to show off. I don't think even Christianity tells you to show off. I don't think Jainism tells you to show off. Every chap, every saint in every religion is such a nice person to discuss with. I mean, look, I've not met the Dalai Lama, but I've seen him. I've heard him. It's a pleasure. I'm not a Buddhist, but it's a pleasure to listen to such people. Okay, I'm now going off track. So, fine. Yeah, I think this is a great idea. The idea of India is great than the idea of our neighbors. That is the strength of the nation. Thank you. Thanks for your analysis. Thanks a lot. I'll get back tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to talk of something very interesting. What's that? Where is Asim Munir? What's he doing in America? We'll talk of it. And how is the Israel-Iran war affecting Pakistan? And of course, we'll have an update and talk of the Israel-Iran war, where it is going, China, Russia, all these questions which you chaps have asked. Early morning, we'll talk of it. But the first question tomorrow. And watch out for the cartoon which is going to come out with this thumbnail tomorrow morning. Right? It's going to be a little naughty, but it'll be worth it. Bye. See you. Thanks. Good night and Jai Hind.